Happy Tuesday, January 13th, 2025. We've got some really cool stuff to talk about today in comic book news. We're going to take a look at the top selling comics of all of 2025, where one publisher absolutely dominated. We're going to take a look at and break down the X-Men teaser for Avengers Doomsday. Brian Michael Bendis makes his return to Marvel, and more in this one day late episode of Comic Book News. Sorry, I was out of town. Okay, let's take a look at this headline. Batman dominates 2025 best-selling comics list. That is absolutely true, but more importantly, I think even bigger picture is that DC Comics dominated 2025 comic book sales. Everything DC is doing right now, the direction that their comics are going, the creators that they have working for them, gets me really, really excited. And this is due in large part to the Absolute Universe, yes, and we will see that when we take a look at the list. But there are other comics that made that list from DC that are really great and that aren't part of the Absolute Universe. So it just shows that all around, they're doing an absolutely wonderful job. And I really hope this continues into 2026 and beyond. So let's actually just go to the Bleeding Cool article here. So at number 1, we have Deadpool Batman. And I think this is interesting because number 2, sandwiched in between the other one, Batman and Deadpool, is Batman number 1, this one by Jorge Jimenez and Matt Fraction. I'm actually surprised that it wasn't an absolute title that took one of the top 3 spots, but then I have to remember the absolute titles actually started in 2024, I believe, except for one that we'll talk about later. So, I guess, given more thought to this does make sense. Battle Beast, it's great to see an Image comic, really an independent comic on this list. Then we have DCKO coming in at number 5. And that's, of course, a big event going on in DC Comics right now. It is tied into the Absolute Universe, but it's also its own thing that heavily involves the characters from the main, Earth 1 DC universe. And I think DCKO has been great so far. It's given us some really crazy stuff and matchups that I think have always talked about and wanted to see in a very creative way. And it's just Scott Snyder. I mean, Scott Snyder has been absolute gold for DC Comics, and I'm so happy they gave him the reins and allowed him to do all this stuff. So let's get into that, but first let's talk about number 6, which is Batman Hush 2. Let me know if you're reading this. If you are reading this, I want to know what you think and if I should pick that back up and continue on with Hush 2. But I know it's kind of gotten mixed reviews so far. We have Absolute Batman 15 coming in at number 7. Now, this one is obviously a big deal because of the cover and the fact that we are getting the full appearance of the Joker. I mean, we had a full appearance of the Joker, but this is like the full reveal of his true form. No surprise that this made the list this high. Then we've got Flash number 1, Absolute Flash number 1. This did come out this year. So this is a number 1 in the Absolute Universe that sold really well. I haven't started reading this one yet. I'm reading the Absolute Universe, a lot of the different titles, but I haven't started Flash. Let me know if Flash is really good. I'm going to read it regardless of what the reviews are because Flash is one of my favorite characters, but I want to know what you think. And then we have Absolute Batman. I believe that's Absolute Batman number 5. I'm rooting for Marvel to make a comeback next year and have more spots on this list, but at the same time, I love what DC is doing. So let me know what your thoughts are on this list of best-selling comic books for the year of 2025. Okay, the title of this article is perfect. The X-Men trailer for Avengers Doomsday finally arrives online, and it's glorious. This is absolutely right. Let's go ahead and take a look at this trailer and kind of break it down a little bit. Okay, we have the Institute here. It looks a little broken down, dusty.
Death comes for us all.
That it does, unfortunately. Xavier's School for Gifted Youngsters.
Are you prepared to die?
Like the chess piece that he moved at the end of that one movie. Charles Xavier and Gandalf. Oh wait, I'm sorry. Magneto. Okay. This is amazing. Let's take a look at that last scene real quick again. There's a couple things I want to point out here, and there's actually one thing my wife pointed out that I didn't even notice at first. He's taking off his ruby quartz visor, right? Cyclops, I believe that the inside of his eyes have that ruby quartz on it, which is what makes him not like obliterate his eyelids, all the time. And when he takes off his visor, it unleashes the full force of this. I've heard this is basically coming from another dimension and that his eyes are kind of portals to this extra dimensional power or laser. And it becomes much more powerful, but when it's unfocused or so that's what's going on here. He is in this is like X-Men 97, but like classic X-Men costume. This is amazing. This is what we all wanted to see from the very beginning with Cyclops. And then what's going on back here? We have these giant legs coming down here. Okay, my wife pointed those out to me right away. I was so focused on his costume, I didn't even notice. That looks like giant sentinel legs. Now remember, we had sentinels in the movies. They weren't exactly comics accurate sentinels, which were huge, colossal robots, right? That's what we got originally in X-Men. Let's actually take a look at a picture of like the original Sentinels real quick. Okay, here's a Sentinel from the comics, and this kind of gives you an idea of scale because there's a person, as you can see in the image right down here. They're huge, and I even have this issue right here where you can see a giant Sentinel holding Storm up there and blasting Wolverine. This is a part of Days of Future Past, I believe. This comic, I really love this one. It's on my wall of comics I display over there. But yeah, that's what Sentinels are like in the comics, and we haven't gotten that in the movies yet. So it looks like they're doing a lot of fan service in Avengers Doomsday, but you know what? It worked really well in Endgame and Infinity War. So they're layups. These are layups, and I think they should do it, So let me know what your thoughts on this are. Let me know if there's anything that I missed in this teaser. And let me know what else you're excited for in Avengers Doomsday. Okay, I want to talk about the Ultimate Universe over at Marvel. Two things. One is this article here at CBR. The newest Ultimate just unalived one of Marvel's greatest heroes. I think this is really cool, and I want to show. This is a little spoilery, but this is from the Ultimates number 19, and number 20 comes out tomorrow. So I think this is late enough. I try not to do spoilers in these videos, but I think, like I said, this is far enough past that it's not really going to be a big deal. If you're reading Ultimates, you know about this already. And then I also want to talk about the Ultimate Universe coming to an end. And I want to know, I've asked about this in several other videos, but I really want to know from the community what your overall thoughts are on the Ultimate Universe. Basically, what was going on in the Ultimates is that we have the Wasp, Janet Van Dyne, and she double crosses the Ultimates. And in this comic, she finds herself slumped down before Nick Fury, the man with whom she has been working in secret. As it turns out, however, Janet didn't just betray her fellow Ultimates for the Maker's sake, but at the behest of the Vision. And she is scarier than anything the Ultimate Universe has seen so far. So let's take a look at this. There's some images from the Ultimates number 19. Then we have her kind of knelt down before Nick Fury of the Ultimate Universe, and it looks like he's about done with them until, what's going on here in this panel? That can't be good. And there we have it, the Ultimate Vision, and it looks like we have a female version of the Vision, which it looks pretty cool. I love the character design here, and this is really brutal and kind of gruesome in a way. The way she takes out Nick Fury by ripping out this robotic brain that's in his head or whatever. And then, of course, she can become intangible. So the people trying to take her out now that she's done this are just shooting right through her and hitting each other. There has been some cool moments coming out of the Ultimate Universe, and I loved the Maker and the whole concept going into it. I think the Maker is such a cool dynamic character. It was a cool concept. Jonathan Hickman's a great writer, and that's why I wanted to touch on the fact that April 29th will be a historic day for the Ultimate Universe, because that is the day that it will be coming to a close. April 29 marks the release of Ultimate Universe Final Number 1, a new one-shot that will officially end the Ultimate Universe imprint. The one-shot takes place after the events of the 5-part limited series Ultimate Endgame, and brings together the creative teams from all ongoing Ultimate Universe books. So obviously the final issues for each series in the Ultimate Universe will come out leading up to this, with Ultimates 24 releasing on April 1st. Ultimate Wolverine number 16 releases on April 15th. Ultimate Endgame 5 concludes the final storyline of the Ultimate Universe imprint on April 22nd. And then following that on April 29th, we'll get the Ultimate Universe finale. So anyway, what do you think about the Ultimate Universe this time around? How do you compare it to the original Ultimate Universe? Would you recommend that I, go back and read this? Is it worth it? Just let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. All right, so this is quite a headline. Exclusive preview of Brian Michael Bendis' return to Marvel. Now, I want to be clear here. This is not an announcement of Brian Michael Bendis returning to a specific title that he's going to write. However, I do think this is a good thing because it is Brian Michael Bendis working with Marvel again, and I think it could lead to things in the future. Now, that being said, there is some speculation that he could take over Avengers after Jed MacKay finishes in this last issue. So That would be really exciting. I think overall Brian Michael Bendis brought us some really cool stuff in Marvel, and I want to know what your thoughts are on Brian Michael Bendis in general. Do you like him as a writer? Do you not like him? What were his best stories? What were his worst? Let me know in the comments. But again, that is just speculation at this point. So the current Avengers by Jed MacKay is coming to an end, and their final story kicks into high gear in Avengers 34, which is a major turning point in the battle between Kang and his variant, Mirrodin. Mirrodin? Is that how you say that? The Avengers have teamed up with Mirrodin's Twilight Court, who have lived for centuries since their last fight with the Avengers. This issue, though, also marks the Marvel return of Brian Michael Bendis in a special story with his longtime Ultimate Spider-Man collaborator, Mark Bagley. Great team up of those two creators. Really happy to see that. And we have an exclusive preview. So let's take a look at this right here. It's a front and back cover. So here you have more of the traditional Avengers here. And then here you have the front. As you can see, this is Legacy issue 800, so that's pretty cool. It's a milestone issue. And let's take a look at the preview here. Specifically, I want to go to the Mark Bagley and Brian Michael Bendis stuff. So this is Mark Bagley's art, and you have Captain America in Madripoor, and obviously they're going after Hydra here. This is a Hydra leader, I think Viper or something like that, or I guess Madam Hydra. Gotta love Mark Bagley's art. It's a really cool Iron Man, and yeah, it looks like Captain America uses the old Avengers card or whatever to send out a signal. So Iron Man comes. Let's take a look at what he says down here. Looks like a Hydra New World Order type of soiree is a cooking. When was the last time you and the Madam had words? It doesn't give us much of a preview of where this is going, but it's the Avengers fighting Hydra, and Brian Michael Bendis is coming back to do this story. So I'm hoping this is just the beginning of his return to Marvel, and we get to see some more content from him and hopefully Mark Bagley here in the future. I will say, I did read the beginning part of Jed MacKay's Avengers run, and I liked it. I think it had a lot of stuff going on with the Ghost Rider at the very beginning of the run. I kind of liked that event that happened with the Celestials, and their headquarters in this run of Avengers was so amazing with the Celestial Mountain. I thought that was such a creative and cool concept for instead of Avengers Mansion or something like that. I'm always excited when a new era begins, regardless of who the creative team is. I'm hoping that it's Brian Michael Bendis, but whoever does do it, I'm sure they'll do a great job. And just let me know what your thoughts are on everything we talked about here in the comments down below. Okay, next, let's take a look at the comic books coming out this week, January 14th, 2026. We've got the Ultimates number 20. We've got DCKO number 3. I'm really excited for this one. I think DCKO has been really good so far, and we've kind of done the 1v1 portion of this tournament, so I want to see what takes place next. We've got Transformers number 28. I mean, what more do I need to say? Transformers has been absolutely amazing with Daniel Warren Johnson at the helm. We've got X-Men, Action Comics. Those two aren't really on my radar right now, but let me know if you're reading them. Batman and Robin. We've got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 14. I'm excited for this one as well. We're kind of going into a new writing team with Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles right now, and this cover looks really cool. I finally have all of the IDW collected editions for the modern Ninja Turtles run. If you haven't read the modern IDW Ninja Turtles, I really highly recommend it. I think it's really great, and they have a lot of cool crossovers and stuff there with Ghostbusters and Power Rangers and different things. So yeah, cool comics, the Ninja Turtles. We've got the Avengers issue that I talked about earlier in this video, number 34, kind of the closing of Jed MacKay's Avengers run, and it is the milestone issue of 800. We've got another DCKO tie-in here in Aquaman, G.I. Joe, Geiger, which, come on, Jeff Johns, amazing. Black Cat, Supergirl, Green Lantern Corps. I would like to be caught up on this, so I'm going to go back and, and try to read those issues. I love seeing all the different Lantern Corps here on this cover, and Green Lantern is my favorite mythos from all of DC, so if I'm not reading something Green Lantern, I really want to be. So if this is good, definitely let me know. We've got Gunslinger Spawn still going. I know that character is really popular. We've got Dungeons of Doom number 1. Everything Dr. Doom always sells. Null number 1. I talked about this in previous videos. Definitely going to pick this up because I'm interested to see what the future of this character is going to be. And we know he's going to clash with Thanos at some point, so that's pretty cool. And we've got some other comics, but I think I've touched on the big ones that are coming out this week. Now let's take a look at the omnibuses. Okay, we've got Iron Man Armor Wars. Now this is really cool. I have these in the Epic collections. I will probably upgrade. I really love the art from this era. This is early 90s, I believe, or mid 90s. I'm happy that they're actually making this into an omnibus, and I feel like we have a serious lack of Iron Man omnibuses. So this is going to fill one of the major gaps that we have. And is this going to be a really good omnibus that we should definitely pick up for Iron Man? Let me know in the comments. We've got Secret Wars Battle World. This is a Secret Wars Omnibus Volume 2. Of course, this is good timing for this coming out when we're all getting ready for Avengers Doomsday and, you know, what will follow with Secret Wars there. And as always, there's a couple on here that I'm not really sure what they are, but I think the main two of note here are Secret Wars and Iron Man Armor Wars. So yeah, let me know what your thoughts are on the omnibuses and the different comics that are coming out this week in the comments down below. All right, that's it for this episode of Comic Book News. Let me know if there's anything major that I missed in this video. Leave a comment and let me know what your thoughts are on the different stories that I talked about. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.